What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some of the current data points, the latest and updates, and what shorts did. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor did go up today, 16.08%, 731 the low, 848 the high. After hours, it is extending that another 9.6%, a fair amount of volume. So 321 million shares being traded, 395 is the average. No real macro data points. Rather, in Opendoor's case, I think just the technicals were really showing that we were going to move higher. And I did a pre-market video, talked about Opendoor, and that's exactly what I did state. I even posted on my Patreon saying that most likely you could see a nice recovery to 850. And so I did my pre-market video when it was at like 730 and whatever else. So I think all the signs were there that Opendoor was going to have a pretty phenomenal day. But what came out after hours, that is completely out of left field and very positive. So you did have this one right here. So a amended 13D, just still showing 17.6 million shares being held by Access. So nothing really crazy because we already kind of generally knew this after hours yesterday. So this isn't new information, but what is new is this right here. So this 13G does show Jane Street made a brand new position and bought 44 million shares. And so that is absolutely kick ass. So Vanguard reduced their position from about 86 to 66 million. You had Access dropping it from about 42 to 17.6. Jane Street just said, F you guys, I'm just going to buy as much as I can. Shorts kind of knew that they were somewhat screwed today, and so they did ultimately return 12.77 million shares. As I've explained in the past, that is net. That's not counting them trading back and forth, so I'll go over that in a second, but 21.05% at the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 140.42 million shares overall are being shorted. But gets a little bit better because you do see some signs of manipulation. Since I've started to cover Opendoor for a week and a half, or whatever it's been, you've seen this occur twice. The cost to borrow minimum is negative. Nothing crazy. It's only negative 0.2. So that's an annual rate. So again, nothing crazy, but that does go to show that there is a broker out there physically paying people to short Opendoor. So kind of crazy stuff. And like I said, shorts were trading back and forth. At the peak, they were increasing about 11.8 million. So of course, by them increasing, they added some certain selling pressure and kept the price low during the pre-market. But as the day passed, they returned more and more, and that just helped all of this. So I guess we can kind of thank shorts as well for today. But this news that came out associated to Jane Street, that is crazy news. And I'm rather surprised the fact that it's actually not moving higher from here. So I'm going to go over the technicals and so forth, but moving on to the options first, 65 million in calls, 32 million in puts, a increase in the net premiums of 9.5 million. And then 50% of all the options being done today were bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 950 to 10. Keep in mind that 13G that did come out after hours, nobody knew that whatsoever. So most likely the options tomorrow, you're going to see probably $12 and higher. So a lot more optimism is going to be on the table. One thing to take note of, though, is that market makers recently did extend the chains to $21. I believe my last update, it was only 18, if I remember correctly. So that had to have happened over the last couple of trading days. So market makers feel realistically it could go to 21, or else they wouldn't really extend that, right? So definitely that's relatively bullish. Bears on the flip side, they are feeling that it's going to be sub 7. Again, with and factoring the news that just came out after hours, I don't see any of that being at least on the table unless something crazy does happen. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So good seeing some buying after hours right here, 2.9 million, 2.5, 13.9. So a lot of big transactions occurring throughout the trading day. Same goes for the dark pool. So even if we sort it based on premiums, these were some of the big ones. So it looks like there was no crazy large ones over multi-million-dollar ones today. So just a lot of smaller transactions. This one right here, 3.4 million. And then aside from that, that seems to be it. So let me know your general thoughts on that. Aside from that, with it closing at 823 and I guess pushing a little bit higher after hours, it is still regardless now trading between this pivot and this S1. So 893 is going to be that strong support. Just watch for that to hold in the next couple of trading days. And then 973 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. So given just shorts being very overextended, combine that with the technicals, which right now the technicals do look pretty good for it to kind of recover to at least from what it looks like around that 950 for the most part, things get very real very fast. And so what led me to do my pre-market video was this gap right here. So you didn't really see that much willing sellers and buyers under the market position overview. So at the end of the day, all Opendoor needed was a nice gentle push. And you can kind of see during the pre-market that it wanted to move higher. It was starting to get some abnormal transactions. Again, you can kind of listen to my pre-market video where I went over that, but I think just generally speaking, it is starting to get some pretty good momentum. Nothing really concrete coming out from Kaz or Eric or any of the other big names. So today was just more people seeing more optimism. And at the same time, what came out after hours, I think that should really fuel the optimism over the next couple of trading days. As far as data points, we do have some big ones coming out over the next few days as well. So we do have tomorrow GDP and then PCE on Friday. So if positive, that could really stimulate the broader market to move to the next leg up. I brush off the fear that Powell kind of laid down, unfortunately. So this could really scare the crap out of shorts, right? Because shorts will see the market really moving higher and start to mitigate some risk. So let me know your general thoughts on Opendoor. Give yourself a shout out if you have been buying, if you sold or not. What's your viewpoint, for instance, on Jane Street? I guess just to play devil's advocate, because that's kind of what I like to do, I think the bears might see this as more of a, hey, we are going to buy just the stock just to lend out, because a lot of stocks and companies actually do that, such as BlackRock, Vanguard, and even Jane Street. They like to buy just to lend out. So again, that's probably what bears might focus on, just to kind of downplay this 13G. But in my opinion, I do feel that Jane Street has bigger fish out there to really focus, aside from Opendoor, to do that type of strategy. So I think this was a legitimate actual purchase. So again, I could be wrong. What do I know in life? Let me know your thoughts on this. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Even the one I put out earlier today about Opendoor alongside many of the other ones. So pop over there and take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. I put out daily day trades and numerous swing trades. So worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.